And one. How are you, everybody? I am Kevin Iole, and I know what you're thinking. I know when you saw the UFC middleweight champ Dricus Du Plessis pop on here, you thought, yeah, the fight with Islam Makhachev has been made, and there it goes. But no, that's just a joke. Dricus will be fighting Sean Strickland in a rematch, UFC 312, on February 8th in Sydney, Australia. Dricus, welcome. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Kevin. Great to see you again. I'm absolutely great.
So it had to come as a little bit of a shock, I guess, when you heard all that talk about Islam Makhachev saying he wanted to go up and potentially fight you.
Yeah, I have to say, it's it's good fun. It's good fun. Listen, I think Islam Makhachev deserving of every single praise that he gets. He is amazing. He is, and just how dominant he is. He's an incredible fighter, incredible champion, and deserving of that pound for pound number one spot, in my opinion. But as far as this talk goes, where him fighting. If it happens eventually, cool, but it's not definitely not in any near future. The middleweight division is very exciting right now. The Manchukian fight with him and Islam, I think that's a great fight to look forward to. So, it's not something I really take seriously at all,
Yeah.
but it's fun. And yeah, all praise to Islam. I think he's an incredible fighter.
Yeah. I was just joking there. I didn't want to waste your time with that. But, you talk about he's an incredible fighter. And I think people are starting to recognize that you are an incredible fighter. Now, your last three wins, all over UFC champions or former UFC champions. And you get another crack when you fight former champion Sean Strickland at UFC 312. How different do you think the rematch will be from UFC 297 when you eked out that close decision over Sean?
Yeah, I don't think the fight will be that much different. I think we have two styles that's always gonna, especially with my style going forward. He has a point style, and I don't allow that. I think now he knows the mistakes that he made in that style, and I know the mistakes that I made by, maybe forcing too much to try and get to him because he has such good defense. I think we're gonna have a bit cleaner fight, in terms of a bit more polished. And but I do think this time around we both know what to expect a little bit earlier on. So we're not going to do the feeling out process for a round or two rounds like in the last one. I think from the word, maybe the first minute or two is going to be, we're going to know exactly what the other guy brings to the table. We already know in terms of power, speed. There's going to be a lot of differences, but those things aren't going to change.
Sure.
So I think the feeling out process will be a lot shorter, and then the action can start. And that's going to be the biggest difference. Is if it gets around 4 and 5, I think that's going to be very interesting because then we are in a place where we might have been in the closing seconds of the last fight. We are going to be when the championship round starts.
Right. I wonder when you look at your performance in that fight, you win, and winning at a high level in the UFC is always impressive, right? But I look at, your performance against Robert Whitaker. I think to that point in your career, that might have been your most impressive win. Then you come out with a submission of the year candidate victory in August over Israel Adesanya. And squeezed in between there is that, that split decision with Strickland. Do you feel like, maybe you weren't at your best that night, or do you feel like, hey, he just fought great and the result is because he raised his game?
No, I think I was fighting the champion of the world that night, and that's a very different fight. If you're fighting the best in the world, he beat Adesanya.
Yeah,
I finished Adesanya. He was the champion of the world, and for a very good reason. That's why that fight played out the way it did. I had an amazing performance. Nothing like the performance I'll have. I performed better against Adesanya because the fight was made 7 months later, eight
sure.
months later. So I ever evolving, getting better every fight. And this time I'm going to be even better. This time I'll be better than I was against Adesanya. That night I did what I had to win that fight. The split decision was actually a shock to me because I don't think it was a split decision. I think it was a clear unanimous decision. But it was an amazing fight. It was a great fight. Strickland is
Yeah.
defensively very, very responsible. And that's why it was hard to get him out of there. I know that's because he prioritizes defense. So and I'm not going to fight that fight because it's boring. I'm not going to fight a fight where, I can do that, fight
Right.
point for point, also be defensive, but I'm not going to be satisfied, even with a win. I won't be satisfied. I train every day to go out there, look for that finish and push forward. And if you push forward, we meet in the middle and we fight. And I think I'm better. I'm better, a lot better than I was in that first fight. But in terms of my performance, I felt I did great. I did good. I felt good. A lot of mistakes. I'm talking about a lot of mistakes. But I mean, that's going to be
Sure.
every fight. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, and every fight I get in there and I'm better than the previous one. And styles play such a big. You can't expect me to fight the same fight against Strickland than against Whitaker. In terms of my performance, I can fight the same, but the result won't be the same because Strickland's not a guy that blitzes forward and gives you that opportunity to catch him just with one clean punch
Sure.
and necessarily just knock him out. Alex Pereira got that because Strickland was pushing forward, but you know, Whitaker is a completely different fighter than Strickland. The pace was a lot higher, and with pace, I mean just the explosion was a
Sure.
lot, which makes a knockout for either guy a lot more probable than the Philly shell jabbing, teeping, and prioritizing defense.
I, winning a UFC title obviously is the pinnacle of a lot of people's career, but I think sometimes the hardest thing is to defend it, right? There's a lot of guys that win a title and they lose it in their first defense. You have now gotten that title defense under your belt. How much better do you get, knowing that you've done that and having that experience of not only winning it, but then going out there and being the guy with the bullseye on your back and defending it successfully? Does that make you better mentally, physically, in any way?
Yeah, I think you get the mentality of this is everything. You get a lot of guys. You say guys that win the belt and that's their pinnacle, and then it's all downhill from there. Then again, you get guys that make it to the UFC. That was their goal. They never pushed themselves to dream bigger than that. They were dreaming of making it to the UFC. I also dreamed about making it to the UFC, but that was never my end goal. That was just a very important part of
Sure.
reaching my ultimate goal, being the greatest. I need to be in the UFC. But guys set their goals and it's too low. They set their goals to I have to make it to the UFC. I have to make it to the UFC. They make it to the UFC, and now what? And now you lose 3 fights, you get cut from the UFC, and it's all over. Then you get guys who set their goals a bit higher. I need to fight for that belt. Need to fight for the belt. How many times have you seen guys fight for the belt, put up a massive performance, just not make it,
Right.
just not getting that title, and then they fall off because they fought for the belt, they failed, and now they're done because that's their goal in their mind. Then you get guys who think, I need to win the belt. They win the belt and it's done.
Yeah.
But then you get the special, I won't even say special, you get the small percentage of guys that believe and has this, not a dream, a goal and belief in themselves to be
Yeah.
the greatest or one of the greatest because it's so dependent on opinion. And that's where I am. The belt was a massive step in the right direction of my ultimate goal,
Right.
but it's by far, there's a very, very long way to go to me being
And you,
satisfied with what I've done in my career.
well, you have a 10 fight winning streak, 8 fights in the UFC. 8 fight winning streak in the UFC is a big deal, especially with who you have been fighting. It's interesting in the sport, though. You know, there's rivalries and everything. So we saw Adesanya fight Pereira 3 times, and now they're buddies. After and they're talking. Robert Whitaker and Adesanya fought twice. They now train together. They are friends. And I want to get your reaction to this. I saw something Kamaru Usman said the other day, and he mentioned you in there, where he said, we used to have the three kings, referring to himself, Adesanya, and Francis Ngannou. He says, now we have the four horsemen. And so he kind of welcomed you into that group. And it seemed like for a while there, maybe, that trio wasn't so warm to you as part of their group. Did you hear Kamaru had said that? And what was your reaction when he kind of looked at you and basically said, hey, you're part of us now?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I think this sport brings people together. I mean, there's rivalries, of course, because at the end of the day, we're getting in there trying to kill each other. But it's nothing personal, especially to me. It's business. And Kumar saying that, it's incredible. I mean, it's a massive honor for me to be a part of that group, a very small group in a very small group of people in the world to be a part of. And what the four of us have achieved is incredible. And for me being a part of that, it's amazing, and I appreciate it. And in this sport, rivalries are real. Uh, there's so many things that are real, but once you've shared that octagon with somebody in a way where you've both given your all, your blood, sweat, tears, your soul, you can't help but respect the person who's willing to step in there and the person who leaves everything in there, because that's the way of martial arts.
Unbelievable. UFC 312 on February 8th in Sydney, Australia. Dricus Du Plessis will defend the title against Sean Strickland, the former champion. Should be a great fight. Dricus, always good to talk to you, my friend. Appreciate you. Wish you all the best.
Mr. Gavin, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too, brother. See you soon.